Our next story takes us to the U.S., where the former head of the CIA says his country has accepted Iran's enrichment program.
We have accepted Iranian uranium enrichment. There is no question about that. That's a different red line than we used to have. Come to an agreement.
Retired General Michael Hayden says he is willing to let this agreement run. Hayden, who has worked under both the Bush and Obama administrations, has a less critical view of the agreement in comparison to most Republicans. His comments come as many U.S. officials say Iran doesn't have the right to enrich uranium. Tehran has repeatedly announced that enrichment is its red line. In a major diplomatic breakthrough last Sunday, Iran agreed with the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council plus Germany to curb parts of its nuclear energy program for 6 months in exchange for partial easing of sanctions against the country. To discuss that further, and I join Mr. Franklin Lam, who is an international lawyer, and he's joining us now live from the Lebanese capital, Beirut. Mr. Lam, as always, thanks for joining us now. How do you assess General Lam's statement?
Well, I think it's very useful. I think that it makes clear that the red line of the Islamic Republic, that is nuclear uranium enrichment, has been now accepted, and that the red line of the Zionist lobby pressuring the Americans in the White House has been taken off the table. So with this acceptance and removal of this red line, the U.S. is acknowledging world practice. They're finally acknowledging international customary law on this subject. Now, we've got the 5+1 through the Americans, through this statement by Michael Hayden, bringing American practice in line with international law. So what that means is a very important development in international law. It makes it very clear for the first time that uranium enrichment is legal, and it's a right of every state. So I say already with these negotiations, we're seeing a remarkable advance. So I think it's a cause for optimism as we look forward to these tough negotiations ahead. This is a major breakthrough, as indeed 2 weeks ago we saw on this subject.
All right, Mr. Lam, you know, as General Hayden is a Republican, which we noted in our story, so is the tide changing now? Do you think the Republicans are also coming on side?
Well, there are some coming on slide on the right side, but they're coming screaming and kicking. And you've got Graham, and you've got McCain and the rest, but they have no choice because they're facing elections, and it is very apparent in this period that the American people are for better relations with Iran, and Obama is doing a good job of explaining his policy. And so I think there's certainly some movement among the Republicans, but they better move faster before the election, because the American people are solidly, I would argue, on the side of this remarkable achievement. And the desperation that we're seeing from the Zionist regime, Netanyahu, what does he do? He sends Cohen, his national security advisor, to Washington. He's not going there to talk to Obama. He's not going there to talk to the CIA. He's going there on behalf of Netanyahu to talk to AIPAC and the Congress and squeeze the Congress one last time to pass some sanctions. I don't think he's going to succeed on that. But there's no question about the fact that Netanyahu has declared war on the White House. Obama knows it. Hagel knows it. Kerry knows it. And they're not happy about it. So every hour on this issue, the Zionists become weaker, they become more desperate, and they're moving toward the dustbin of history on this, and I would argue even clinging to their occupation of Palestine. So these are momentous events, each kind of statement and act that we're seeing in this period, and I predict there will be many more, going on the right side of history, and there's every reason for the American people and the Iranian people to return to the days when they were similar, and the cultural changes that are now happening, and the removing the barriers to visas, and the educational exchanges. That's what's remarkable, and that's what's going to affect, besides relieving the sanctions, the quality of life of Americans and Iranians. And you may think this is going too far, but I think we're in the period of 1981-82 with respect to another recognition issue, and that's with respect to Hezbollah. I've argued that apart from certain actions that Hezbollah is as American underneath as apple pie. And I think, like in 1981-82, the Americans finally took the PLO off the terrorist list. I wouldn't be surprised in the coming couple years that Hezbollah is taken off the terrorist list, which I think would be another recognition, and I think it would show the influence of Iran in a sincere relationship with the White House if they will advocate this. So this is a remarkable period of course, danger that we see here. 3 blocks down here with the attack on the embassy that shook the building at Press TV and all that's going on. But there's also hope. And so besides a very exciting time of history, I think there's reason for real hope. And I salute Hayden for making this statement.
Okay, we'll leave it there for now. That was Mr. Franklin Lam speaking to us live from Beirut. Sir, as always, we appreciate your insight.